we will set up and train a simple Annif project, which uses a TFIDF model. Since this is our first Annif project, let's give a brief introduction to Annif projects. A project is used to tell Annif which kind of algorithm, vocabulary, language, and other settings to use. Projects are defined in a file usually called projects.cfg or projects.toml, located in the current directory where Annif is executed. This default file name and location can be overridden using an environment variable or a command line option if necessary. A project is identified by a project ID, which is typically a short string. Annif also has a list projects command to show the configured projects. In this exercise, we will create a TFIDF project, which is the simplest type of project in Annif. It is like the Hello World of automated subject indexing. It's quick to set up, train, and test. You get to see results quickly, but it's not the final say when it comes to quality. Now let's see how to define a TFIDF project in the projects.cfg file. On the left, there is a configuration suitable for the dataset of the National Library of Finland, and on the right for the dataset of ZBW. On both configurations, the project identifier is at the first line in square brackets. In the following lines are the name and language of the project. The backend entry defines the algorithm to use, and vocab is an identifier for the vocabulary. These settings are mandatory for all Annif backends. The TFIDF algorithm, like most backends, also needs the analyzer setting. The analyzer takes care of the preprocessing, tokenization, and normalization of the input text. We will use the snowball analyzer for English here, as it helps to normalize unimportant distinctions, such as singular versus plural forms. The projects.toml file looks the same, but it requires string variables to be quoted. In this example, we will use the previously mentioned CFG format. Here are the steps for setting up a new TFIDF project. The first step is to add the project configuration to a file, here projects.cfg. We can verify it by using the Annif list projects command. Second step is to load the vocabulary, which is done using the Annif load vocab command. It takes the vocabulary ID as the first argument and a path to the vocabulary as the second argument. The vocabulary can be in a TSV file, that is in a simple tab separated value format, or a scos/rdf file. The third step is training the project. The command is Annif train, which takes the project ID as the first argument and a path to training data as the second argument. The training data or training documents can be collected to one TSV file, which can be compressed, or to a directory containing several documents. More information on the formats can be found on Annif wiki pages. Note that the training step can take a long time, up to several hours in some cases. After training, the project is ready to be used. First, we can use just a short sample text and give it to the Annif suggest command. The suggest command accepts the text from standard input, so the echo command can be used for writing the text, and the pipe character then to pass the text to Annif suggest. For testing with a longer text, it's better to have the text in a file, whose contents can then be fed to the Annif suggest command with this kind of command. Let's see these steps in practice. Here I'm using Annif within VirtualBox, but the steps are the same in every type of installation. I will first open the web browser, go to the exercises of the tutorial and the TFIDF exercise page. From there, I copy the project configuration, either for the NLF or ZPW dataset. Here I choose the ZPW dataset and copy it to clipboard. Then I open text editor, paste the configuration, and save the file to the Annif tutorial directory with the name projects.cfg. Next, I open a terminal window. I make sure that the projects.cfg file is here in the Annif tutorial directory using the command ls. It shows here. I can also check that the TFIDF project appears in the project list shown by the command Annif list projects. The project is here on the list, so the configuration was successful. Next, I will load the vocabulary for the project. I can go to the exercise page again and copy the exact command and paste it to the terminal window. You can use Shift Ctrl V to paste. It shouldn't take too long. Not more than a minute or so, and now it's finished. And I can train the project. In the training, I will use training data that contain titles and subjects extracted from around 1 million metadata records. However, I will first try with just a small training file based on 100,000 records to test the process. Let's copy the command again. Training should take around a minute. Now the training is finished and we can test the project. I copy and paste an example sentence and the command from the exercise page. The essential part is the Annif suggest followed by the project ID. We can see that Annif produced some results which were at least somewhat relevant. Now we saw that the basic model works, but the amount of training data was small. Much better results are obtained when the project is retrained using a complete training data set. Going again to the exercise page. This should take around 5 minutes for the TFIDF dataset and around 10 minutes for the NLF dataset. The model is now trained with the full training dataset. Instead of testing the model with just one sentence, I will now get results for a longer document from a file. I will use a sample file from the full text documents. And it's done. We will see how to explore the results in more depth in some of the following exercises. You have now seen how to create and use a simple TFIDF project. Thank you for watching.